channel to today's comparison video between two very popular Seiko divers. So on the left here I have the Seiko Shogun. This is the SBDC029 model. Both of these watches I've reviewed not so long ago, and I thought this is actually a comparison that would be very interesting to do. So I'm going to carry this out today. On the right here, I have, as you'll recognize it if you're a Seiko fan, this is a Sumo model. This is the SBDC033. Also, of course, a very much tool dive watch style. This one is courtesy of my local supporter and friend Graham, who again is a person who has made many of his watches available for review on the channel. So a shout out to Graham once again for making his collection available. So, both of these watches have screw-in case backs, of course, being ISO 6425 divers at 200 meter water rating. So it's showing you the very solid screw-in case backs there. Screw-in crowns. This one's in 4 o'clock position. This one in the 3 o'clock position there. And they're both at 200 meter water rating as stated. And as you can see on the dials there, unidirectional dive style bezels on both of these with metal inserts, and they both have the great Seiko Lumi Bright lume. This one is actually in titanium, as you would know if you've seen the review. This one is in the usual 316L steel. They are both utilizing the 6R15 movement, so that's the same movement, and that's probably why they are often directly compared, or at least spoken of in the same sentence, the Shogun and the Sumo models. The 6R15 is used in other dive watches, I guess most notably the more recent upgrades of the 62 mass models, but these seem to be the most frequently encountered, or at least in my readings around the internet. So I thought it would be an interesting comparison here. Just as a point of note, in terms of retail, realistically, you can buy this for around the $850 USD mark, around there for sale price. On the other hand, the Sumo, realistically, around $450 to $500 USD mark, so considerably cheaper for the Sumo on the right there. So let's get into the comparisons here. I've put red marks against caliber and brand because there's nothing to compare there. They are exactly the same caliber and they are both Seiko watches. So I'm going to skip that. Just show you the marks there. I've given 8 for the 6R15 caliber. I'm not going to say much more about that, but everything else, interestingly, I do have things to say. So design-wise, I think they're both very good, purpose-built dive watches. They have very nicely designed screw-in case backs, screw-in crowns, very solid. The very functionally built dive style bezels, unidirectional bezels, solid cases. I'm not going to separate it on design. I can't pick them apart. I think they're both 8 out of 10 on the design stakes here as the dive watches that they are. So I've given them 8 out of 10 for the design category, both 8 and 8. All right, next up, quality. Now this one was interesting. I thought at first it wouldn't be separable, but I think I do have some comments to make. So the Shogun is titanium, and I think the finishing is absolutely excellent. It's mesmerizing. It's got that dia shield, and I think it's really very good. One of the things that shines about the finishing here. But I gotta say, as I've used this watch over time, I've come to appreciate the quality and the finishing on the case there. If you look at the alternating brushed and polished surfaces, I think this is right up there as well. You may give half a mark more to the Shogun because I think there's just a little bit of an edge there, particularly how they've worked the titanium, but I've chosen to stick with 8 out of 10 for both on the quality stakes here. Next up, style. Okay, so this is the first one where I'm gonna detract a bit, give a differential mark for style here. So this is subjective, but personally I do prefer the handset, right, arrow and sword, the dial markers, as well as the bezel font, and overall the case design of the Shogun. Again, this is just a matter of preference, but I think all those factors I actually would pick the Shogun rather than the Sumo design. The only one that's close is the case. I think the case in the Sumo is pretty special, but you know, if you put a gun to my head and asked me to choose, I would still go with the Shogun case there. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but that's my personal preference. So I've given 9 out of 10 for the Shogun because I think it's just such a well-balanced style, you know, that they've chosen to implement here. But, you know, this one is no slouch. It's very good as well, and I've given 8 out of 10 for the Sumo on style there. Okay, next one down, performance. Okay, this is where the Sumo takes it back. I think they're both very good, and I've given 8 out of 10 for the Shogun, but I think this bezel, it's very easy to turn and almost too easy. So I'll just show you. I'll just, you know, kind of rub it slightly with my thumb, and you can see, you know, one finger here, right? You can see it turns probably a little bit too easily, and I think that's a little bit of a weakness in my opinion. You know, the loom is very good, but at the same time, I think the loom on the Sumo, because there's a slightly bit more of the loom there, I think this one actually lasts longer. And in my experience, this one glows a little bit brighter come the morning after an overnight use than the Seiko Shogun. I think the Shogun does last all through the night, but this one is just that much better. And I think this bezel is a little bit more sensible as well. It's not as easy to turn, but it turns when you want it to. So performance-wise, I'm giving it to the Sumo here. Very, very good tool diver, you know, 9 out of 10. But the Shogun's not bad as well. 8 out of 10 for Shogun. Next up, versatility. Okay, this one I think no huge debate here. I think I have to give it to the Shogun. So this is 43 millimeters in size versus the 44.5 of the Sumo. The thickness is actually the same, but this one actually wears somewhat smaller. It is also quieter, being, you know, a black and white watch, and it's also a lot lighter, so it kind of disappears on the hand. So I think versatility, you know, clearly this one is I think just that much more quieter and therefore more suitable in a greater amount of formal context than the kind of bright blue Sumo design here. Okay, so I think not too controversial there. I've given 8 out of 10 for the Shogun on versatility, 7 out of 10 for the Sumo. Okay, going on to durability. Right, this one's difficult. I think the Sumo, you know, has, you know, it's a very big watch, it's very fat with very solid steel, but the Shogun is titanium, and objectively titanium has higher durability than steel and higher strength to weight ratio. They're both hardlex crystal, neither of this is sapphire. I've given the slight edge to the Shogun on durability here, so, you know, hopefully that's not too controversial. 9 out of 10 for Shogun, 8 out of 10 for Sumo. Alright, next up, value. Now this one, I think at nearly half the cost, the Sumo is considerably better. I have to give it to the Sumo here. You know, for the same movements, the Shogun, if you look at objective upgrades, really it's the titanium die shield. Everything else, I guess objectively, you're paying for titanium here. You know, Seiko, same brand. I think you have to give the value to the Sumo here. 8 out of 10, and I've given 6 out of 10 for Shogun. You can give 7 and 9, but I think there has to be a spread here. All right, brand, nothing to say, right? Both Seiko, and then last one would be X Factor. So I've given it to the Shogun here, guys. You know, I think the design, the titanium allure gives it the edge for me, and it is a mini grail watch for, you know, the reasons that, you know, I've explained before. The sheer design, the balance, the titanium, it's just a little bit more special, I think. So I've given the slight edge here, 9 out of 10 for Shogun and X Factor, but this one is no slouch. You know, it is a pretty cool watch with pretty cool design. 8 out of 10 for me on the X Factor here. All right, so that's it, guys. Very, very close if you've been totaling 81 versus 80, pretty much the same here. So in summary, you know, two great divers from the house of Seiko. Again, great dive watches from Seiko, often spoken of together, which is why I've done this comparison. It's been very interesting to do because whilst, you know, you may think they're kind of very similar at face value, they have many differences when you look into the details. You know, so the Sumo has greater value, marginally better dive performance, but I think the Shogun takes it on style, versatility, durability because of the titanium. So guys, there's my comparison. Let me know what you think about the comparison of these two very popular watches, particularly if you have both or either of them. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I do new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you